the fresh crack of the tin. And Chris, the tradition is now broken because you have gone rogue. Where are you, Chris?
I'm at work. I'm streaming from work today, man.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
That is dedication. Now, Chris, you didn't say anything about slander today because in the green room, you said my hat came in late, but guess what, mate? You got a New South Wales hat on. You just don't understand footy. But I think your SuperCoach scores this week might beg to differ. Can you fill us in what happened?
Yeah. This week it was really a case of people who captained James Tedesco and people who didn't, and I was one of the people who didn't, sadly. But I actually did pretty well still. It was a good week for Kid Luai. I scored 1381. I saw green arrows. I'm now 824. Went up 113 spots, and I BC looped Cleary. It was another what if week, really, to be honest. I'd planned to play Mark Namonga-Nitawaze, but I messed up my sit and start, so I couldn't play him, and I had to cop a 38 from Nikra and a 43 from Drinky. But green arrows, I can't complain too much, Ryan. Yeah.
What's your rank now?
There's trouble brewing. What was that, sorry?
What's your rank now?
I'm 824 now.
Oh, yeah. Mate, killing it.
Oh, look, there's trouble brewing in paradise. Nicker is suspended now for the season, and Raiders on the bye. I've only got 17 this week, and I'd say Asako has become a nightmare as well, Ryan. And now that he's lost the goal kicking, I'm thinking about maybe moving, beloved Drinky Dearest onto somebody better. Actually, yeah. Which we'll talk about this week.
Very looking forward to who you're thinking, because obviously that lovely flex position can get anyone in. So maybe fullback, maybe not. Mate, this week it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I scored 13-23, and I was like, heck yeah, head-to-head matchups in the top 4. Beat our beloved Adam, who's like number 9 in Australia. I was like, I'm the GOAT, whatever. My other cash league, thought I beat him as well, all good. And then bang, updates happened. And I lost both head-to-heads by like 20 points. I was like, nothing could be worse. And then I just checked as we having a look at the top scores here. I'm in the top 2%. So not only did I lose my head-to-head and my drafts in all my top 4s, but I also now in the 2%. What's happening, Chris? I'm in shambles, mate. I can't even talk. I'm in shambles.
We should let the Tackles and Tinnies listeners know that yes, in the 2 major finals, it was Adam versus Ryan, and Adam's won, so you go straight to is it the prelim finals, and
bullshit.
I beat our other co-host Andy. So Andy gets a second shot, and so do you next week, Ryan. But at some point, I think if you win next week, you and I actually come up head-to-head, so there will probably be no podcast, or I'll just be telling you everything opposite of what I'd like you to do.
Well, mate, it's not going to matter. We have no trades left. So.
yeah, true.
Just be captaincy options.
It's all theoretical talk. Yeah.
Literally. And as you mentioned, mate, I want to go straight into, I mentioned last week, the CEO of Rocks and Diamonds, my boy, Reece Walsh. I can't go too hard on him because the Broncos just got absolutely decimated by a barrage of sniper rifles on the one set play with Ezra Mann and Adam Reynolds. Never seen that in my life, let alone for 2 halves for a top 4 team. Relatively early on in the piece as well, might I add. Yeah, Reece Walsh, Rocks and Diamonds, baby, 145, whatever it was the week before. And then, 26 trash.
Yeah.
Absolute trash. So, yeah, I actually blame Reece Walsh for my loss this week. But if the Broncos didn't get the double hammy, or triple hammy technically with Cobbo, I think I would have made the win for both my head-to-heads. So, Reece Walsh, you're on thin ice. I can't trade you because I got no one left. But it will be an interesting captaincy corner because there's not many desirable picks. And I tell you what, looking forward to your opinion on a cheeky VC on a Reece Walsh.
Look, I think even though he didn't do well last week, I still think he's the play. He's got some good matchups coming up. Yes, he still also has to play Melbourne yet again in a couple of weeks' time. But look, against who are they playing this week?
No, I got it here for you. Broncos are playing the Dolphins at Suncorp Saturday,
Yeah, that's what it
5:30.
was. I heavily condone a VC, if not a C, on him this week. Yeah, they're going to rely on him a lot more. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just absolute rocks and diamonds. And again, we've got our top tier, Reece Walsh, blundered it. My number 2 being Calm Pereira, tore his hamstring as well. And off the top of my head, I can't even think what number 3 was, but I'm pretty sure they did trash as well. So yeah, mate, it's been shambles. And I've just been thinking today, I was praying in Teamless Tuesday, my big boy Tino Fasul Malawi getting named because I would be a player short and I'd be forced to make my final trade. But the football gods have listened and Tino has been named. Whether or not he plays 20 minutes, I will take it. So, what are your thoughts on Big Tino?
Oh, look, I'm so happy for him to be back because I was, I'm playing 17 as well, and now I've got 18. As I said earlier, Osaka, Jermaine Osaka has been a nightmare for me. Like last week, he's got 23 or something like that. But I think he's going to play big. I saw him last week. I watched some video from like the Gold Coast Titans. The boys were like having a laugh at JC, goal kicking, and they were defending distracted at practice. And Tina looked pretty good and fit and healthy actually. So I reckon he's raring to go.
Yep.
You've also, Keanu Kinney, he's on the extended bench. So AJ Brimson's still at fullback. So, you've been kissed on the absolute dick once again. And, so hopefully AJ goes big for you. Yeah. I'm ecstatic. Yeah. It means that I don't have to trade out Nickera as well now. And I get to save yet another trade. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But I'm going to go on a side tangent actually here really, really briefly.
Yeah, please.
Because, so look, I'm intrigued by your constant claim that Reece Walsh is the CEO of Rocks and Diamonds, and and I call him Crypto Reece as well. So I actually did some research onto it.
Okay,
and it turns out he's not even close to being the CEO. He's literally the coffee boy at the company. So yeah. So these stats basically they're thanks to the NRL SuperCoach stats website, and they have a stat called coefficient of variance, Ryan, and that is basically a measure of how dispersed your players' scores are throughout the season. So basically, the higher your number, I guess, the more inconsistent the player is at scoring. So in my opinion, I actually think it's actually the ultimate measure of Rocks and Diamonds. Drinky, he's got a coefficient of 42. And Walsh is at 44. Turbo for this season, he's 44. Somebody who you think about as being Rocks and Diamonds, running most high, he's only 47.
Wow.
Have a guess at who's actually the people who are higher than him.
I couldn't tell you. Give me some names.
Okay. Ethan Strange, where do you think he's at?
Oh, he'd be top 5.
Drinky's at 40. Surely. So Drinky and Walsh about 44.
I reckon. Well, he'd be like number 5 on the list. Surely. What's he rated?
So based on what I did a look at pretty much every single player that was relevant. He comes at about 6 on the list.
Oh, it's close.
A player that you said earlier, Lockie Khan Pereira.
Yeah.
He's pretty Rocks and Diamonds too. His coefficient is 58.
Wow.
KO Weeks, 64. DWZ, 73. He's number 2. But the guy who's the most is actually Jack Bostock. He's 77.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He is the true CEO of Rocks and Diamonds. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I guess like either Herbie's dummying or he's passing him the ball. So it's like either he's going to pop off and get that 170 or he's going to get 20 points. So yeah, it makes sense. That makes sense.
I thought Jermaine Osako might be Rocks and Diamonds as well, but turns out he's not. He's pretty good at about something like 42. Xavier Coates is 58, so he's way more Rocks and Diamonds than Mulatalo, interestingly. And also another one that you and I privately talked about buying for a while, Tommy Dearden. He's also 61 as well, so he's wildly inconsistent. So he goes massive or goes really badly.
Has that fluctuated at the start of the year more so, you think, or since he's better now at halfback?
I reckon it would be more so at the beginning of the year because he had some absolute poor numbers. Since he's moved to halfback and since he got picked at Origin again, and he took over DCE position. He's been fantastic for the Cows. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd probably assume that the guys near the top are probably wingers, correct, on average?
They're all pretty much all backs. So it's Bostock, DWZ, Weeks, Dearden, Coates, AKP, and Strange.
Yeah.
I actually, to be honest, I didn't even check. I didn't check forwards actually, to be honest. But that's because they're generally consistent. They're not going to go massive, and also I like to go low because they've got to rack up pace, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, I love that. I want something else like that next week, mate. Pressure's on. That was very insightful. Yeah, interesting. It would definitely make sense with like guys like Bostock and even Coates, another guy. Very much depends on the ball. If they're getting the ball, like obviously Coates has got that aerial threat, but man, Herbie at the start of the year was not looking to pass, and yeah, that makes complete sense to me now. I do want to wind back a little bit back to the Broncos. Have you looked at Teamless Tuesday at all?
I have.
What are your thoughts on the current Broncos predicament? Do you like what they've done? Would you have done something differently?
I'm not a big Broncos fan, but I do like what Madge has done for them. I think they're incredibly lucky. Imagine, Reynolds going out and you have Ben Hunt come in. I think, he wasn't, he didn't base much last year. Talking about SuperCoach, and I'll link it to real footy as well. He doesn't base much, but, he made Jaden Sewer look like a superstar, the last 2 seasons, while at the Dragons. I think he could make Jordan Ricky do something very similarly. For people who are still playing draft head-to-head finals, I think Jordan Ricky might be a really good pickup, only because he could technically jag a try. He's been basing really, really well. I like Billy Walters at 5'8". I think Billy Walters has been one of their, shining sparks this season. He's been very consistent. Every time he comes off the bench, he does things for them. I also like Corey Pakes. I think that, he provides good spark. And I'm really hoping that now that they have a few less attacking weapons, because I think sometimes it's a case of embarrassment of riches. I don't know if you're familiar with NBA, Ryan, I think you are. But
pretty familiar.
I think of the Broncos a little bit like 2004 Lakers, where they had Shaq, Gary Payton, Karl Malone, like literally everybody, obviously Kobe Bryant. And there's just too many superstars. And sometimes the people who should be getting the ball consistently don't get the ball, and therefore now that I'm hoping that, they have a few less superstars, they're going to pass the ball more to Reece. They're going to let him create. He's got to step up. And, you can mess around when, in my opinion, when you're not the main man, you can just do whatever it is. But when you have to be the guy and there's pressure on you and everybody in Brisbane's looking up to you, you're going to take it more seriously. The error is going to come down. You're going to play way more smarter footy, a lot more heads up, less risk adverse as well. So I actually quite like it, really, in many ways.
And
what
it's
about you?
Interesting to think too, because like the Broncos had that log jam at the start of the year of 4 to 5 hookers on their roster, and now they're all playing. So I think that's pretty funny to note. Kind of wanted to see Katoni Staggs have a crack at 5'8", low key. You always got Jesse Arthurs on the extended bench, and obviously Karapani there as well. And then you could put Dean Mariner at centre. I think Ben Hunt could be the guy just controlling the ruck, and they're obviously going to get good service from Billy Walters at hooker. I would just love to see Katoni Staggs at the ball more. Like, he's just so devastating running the ball. Don't know how good his short passing game or kicking game is, but I know he has played 5'8" for Tonga in the past. So obviously he's got some skill there. But I think him getting the ball more and Ben Hunt just being that focal point and Reece Walsh obviously helping that as well. I think that I'd be more scared of Katoni at 5'8" than I would be Billy Walters. Is that a fair call or not?
Oh, look, I don't necessarily disagree with you. In the NRL, in the last few seasons, we've seen the rise of these 5'8" run first 5'8s. Like Fletcher Sharp this season and AJ Brimson. If Katoni Staggs is that type of person who is always supporting, sniffing around the ruck, ready to receive an offload off a Payne Haas and just run through a hole, 100%. But I guess you look, Madge was the last coach for New South Wales who actually won a series. So trust in Madge is what I say.
Fair. But yeah, I think Broncos, it's pretty much they've got to win this week. And the Dolphins too, they're pretty much right on the bubble. So whoever wins this game, I think is safe. And I think whoever loses this game, they're probably out. So you can probably expect Suncorp Stadium's going to be absolutely jam-packed, 45,000 plus. So that probably be as a Queenslander especially, that's going to be a game to watch. Is there anyone else you want to note looking at Teamless Tuesday?
Let me have a little look at what I've written. Yeah, actually, Isaiah Yeo, he's not back. And Isaiah Papali'i starts at 13 for the Panthers again. Even before then, I was going to tell, the listeners if that, he's got that right shoulder instability, and, if you were thinking about buying Yeo, downgrading some sort of 2RF, or you're thinking about trading Nicker out to Yeo, I would have told you not to do it, given how well Papali'i's been playing, at lock. I think Yeo just gets an early shower pretty much, and I was going to say either sell or avoid. And now that he's not playing again, I would almost argue, I probably wouldn't say sell. He could come back, in the next 2 weeks, and he'll be a really, really good number, in the final 2 rounds, especially when other rotations, people start getting sat in around 26 or 27. Tanner Boyd is back at halfback. I think there was talks about. Jet Cleary maybe debuting possibly.
Yeah.
But Jacob Kiraz, he's been named at fullback. Connor Tracy's back on the extended, but I don't really like Kiraz at fullback. He plays that right center role when he's attacking. He doesn't really get any points, and then he's also, there's no one around him when he returns the ball, so he can't offload, so he's a bit down. Latrell Mitt, he's at center again. For people who are thinking about buying him, it's really hard to buy him at center. You really need him at fullback, so I wouldn't touch him. Dylan Brown of the Eels, he's at left center. Lols, he's back this week.
I don't like it, not going to lie. I actually kind of like him at center.
Really? Why?
I think he's just got a great running game. Obviously very crafty, can get the ball long, got some good speed, solid defensively. Obviously hasn't got many reps there, but he's only one shifted out to the other side of the field. So it's not the end of the world in terms of positioning. Obviously probably want him to get the ball more due to the fact he's a good ball player. But hey, you could do worse than putting Dylan Brown out in the centers, that's for sure.
Yep. Jesus Reincarnate at the Tigers, Adam Dway. He's at halfback. He's been killing it,
Right. Don't get me started. Some of these names, I'm just getting so annoyed.
I think you saw them. Look, here's a name that you'll be happy with, Ryan. Turbo. He's starting at fullback again, even though Lehigh's back. He's at wing, and then Jazzy Tavanga.
My boy Jazzy.
Vikings clap fame, premature Vikings clap fame. He's starting at lock because Jake Trbojevic he's out probably for an extended time because he's had his 3rd HIA for the season. And then this is my favorite one, only because I'm jealous that I don't own him. Dean Gagai, he's back at center. So for everybody who bought him, tears. I think Newcastle are debuting one Connor Vitani at fullback, so good luck.
I haven't heard much about him, to be honest, but I'm sure he must be pretty good if he's shifting Gagai out into the centres. I think you missed out on one boy too, Chris, in case I've interrupted you, but my actual boy, the name of my team, Pappenhausen, he's got concussion. Meanie's at fullback.
Really? I didn't... Yeah. Look, I saw that. All I looked at when I looked at Melbourne was I just had to double check and see if Kane Bradley was going to ruin my week. Adam, our co-host, he's bought another very nice gift basket of fruit to Craig Bellamy, so he's not playing him, so we're safe. He's on the extended bench. Fantastic. Really? Oh.
Yeah. So goal-kicking Nick Meaney at fullback, mate. So that's going to be juicy. Obviously against the Penrith Panthers, not the most desirable matchup, but yeah, definitely one to note. Maybe a draft pickup if he's not in there. So we will see. But I've got a beef to pick with you going off some of the names you rattled off. And I'm going to give you one guess who the player is.
It's Tamari Martin, isn't it?
Tamari bloody Martin, mate. So listeners, we were just chilling on a Saturday afternoon. And I was like, okay, I need to make some definitive decisions for both draft and classic, whether I'm going to loop or whether I'm going to make a last-second trade. And I did make a last-second trade, but not in Classic. It was Draft. I love Tamari Martin. I thought he was so good last year. And I did notice he was starting. Tanner Boy got dropped. So Tanner Boy's obviously playing this week because Tamari Martin's got the head knock. But last week, I was like, oh, I just got a vibe. Tamari Martin might be good. And I did hear it was wet in Sydney, but I actually didn't realise it was like biblical floods on the field. And as soon as they started running on the field, turn my TV on, started running the field, their feet are like this far underwater in some places. I'm like, probably not the best trade. So, yeah, ruined my loop. Could have got at Bradman Best at like 52 points, but instead I picked up Tamari Martin's 3 points. With that decision and not playing Gutho over Cobbo, that was my draft failure against Adam. So, what could have been? But I'm very interested into talking about Nick Meaney. Now, again, Pappenhausen 11-day stand down. Probably misses this week and next. So, that will take us to round 26, probably plays one more round, and then maybe even gets rested round 27. Is there any love for Nick Meaney?
For me, nah, not at all. He's a 2-week play, and for me, who have only 2 trades left, I can't afford him or can't buy him. Really, he's not worth it. But I don't necessarily disagree with you, because the last time Pappy was out and Meaney was playing at fullback the first time, he scored 165 against the Cowboys. But I will say, Ryan, it was against the Cowboys. Their draw, is absolutely piss poor. You said earlier that they're playing Penrith away, but then they play the Bulldogs, the Roosters, and then they finish off with the Broncos, who now have to win the next couple of games, and they're going to be trying real hard. So it's tough. I do think that he'll score well. I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if he averaged 70 to 80.
Yep.
So it's not bad, but I think it's such a risky pod with very low upside. Like, he could score that 160 again, but there's a very good chance that he won't. And so therefore, I think he's an avoid. It's just not worth it at this time of the year.
Yeah, I think he's very tempting. As I said, draft pickup maybe if you got into the finals, but even that, so like the Penrith Panthers are just that bloody good. I think the Titans putting, 26 points on the other week when they got absolutely robbed. That was a bit of a blip in the arm of the Penrith Panthers. Again, especially against big teams, they always stand up regardless who's over on the field. I want to talk about
right, actually. You're right in the sense that if he's in your draft, and he hasn't been bought, pick him up. But in our draft, Ryan, there is only one fullback who actually is still playing that hasn't been picked up, and it's Bentley Harfay of the Bunnies. Every other player is a non-playing player in fullback or injured this year.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, draft is another story. Tell you what. Now I'm looking at the top 10% of trades in this week, and a guy on this list, and he's definitely in the top 1%, I believe, as well. It's Sammy Walker. So obviously popped off last week. Very, very attack reliant. He's currently at 705k. Obviously got that huge score last week when the Roosters just absolutely annihilated the Dolphins. But they got a matchup of the Doggies, Parramatta, Melbourne, South Sydney. So obviously 2 hard matchups and 2 relatively easy matchups if you're looking at the Roosters. Have you got any love for Sam Walker? Goal kicking Sam Walker missed like 1 out of the past 30 kicks.
Oh, I'm very interested in Sam Walker. Like, I'm just going to say straight up, he would be in my team this week if it wasn't the fact I couldn't afford him. And I'll talk about that later. But he's averaging 81 since he came back. He controls the entire team. He's had 3 or more try assists the past 3 games. Like you said, very attack reliant. If you have the ability, I think you want to buy this week. I know that a lot of people are going to be holding this week, and for 2 reasons. The first one is what you said. He plays the Doggies, who are a really, really good team. And also, whilst Nico plays the Titans, I think that there are going to be a lot of people next week who are going to plan to trade Nico when he's on the bye, and then when Sammy Walker's matchups soften up, because they play Parramatta, Melbourne, and then the Bunnies.
Yeah.
I would say If you can wait, fine, wait it out for this week. If you want to, or if you're not convinced, you want to just see him, But here's the thing: I don't think there's any advantage to waiting, Ryan, because he's got a break even of 24. He's going to hit that this week, definitely. He's only going to go up in price, so you might as well get him now whilst he's as cheap as he can be. I actually wish I could have got him. I was actually thinking about getting him last week, but I thought I'd give Drinky another go last week, and then and now Drinky dropped a lot of money, and I just can't get Drinky. I can't trade Drinky to Sam Walk in the one trade. I was thinking about going him, Nico, and Cleary in the final for the final run home, and putting Sam Walk in my flex. But so I'm pretty sad that I can't do that. But I've got another person who I'm thinking about maybe just trading to. But yeah, I think that if you can get him, he should be actually a number one trade, even though no one's trading him, because everybody's going to get him next week, and on the off chance he pops off against the doggies, you've got a massive score against everybody else, one up on everybody else. This is one of those trades that you want to make early, potentially.
Yeah, I tell you what, like that left side attack now, because Mark Nwangani-Tawase has been catching a cold, besides last week, obviously, because who knows, I was just a blip in that whole scenario. It's getting 60-plus points. But Daniel Tupou always comes good, super consistent. But now Sammy Walker's back. He's got a 5-round average of 78 and a 3-round average of 77. Got 107 points last week. Tell you what, if I had more than one trade, and I still could potentially do it for Herbie Farmworth, any love for Daniel Tupou?
Yeah, for sure. For anybody who got him a couple of weeks ago, when they knew that he was coming back, kudos to you guys. Well deserved. I think at that time, when that was around, that was the week before the final mini buy, was it? Or was it the final buy? And everybody jumped on Mark Nwangani-Tawase, and he scored that, was that 110 or something that week. The week that you were in New Zealand in a cave, in a hole. Yeah, Ryan, that one. And you missed out on Mark. So I think there's not that many people who probably jumped on Daniel Tupou. I think he's 7% owned at the moment.
Bro, he's not 7% owned. Guess how much he's owned?
Well, I said 7. That's why I said 7, because I think it's 7.
2.
Oh, is he? He's only 2%.
He's a pod, man. If you're trying to differentiate yourself, a guy like myself who's stuck in the burrows of the top 2%, maybe 2% owned and the top 2% might be correlated. I might be able to do a fusion and pop off this week, potentially. I don't know. I'm scared. Bulldogs.
But I think a lot of people would have held off on buying him because they got Mark and they didn't want to go. They didn't want to double up on the entire, along with Teddy in the entire, Roosters backline. But look, I don't think if you want to jump on him, because in terms of people to buy now, in terms of Herbie replacements, there aren't any really good, 700K plus guys really, to be honest, who are premium, like your Val Holmes, they're all injured now. So you're looking at mid-range, centers who have really good upside, but they also could be just, average, like Tupou, Stephen Crichton, and so therefore as a result, and Bo Fermor. So therefore, why not jump on Daniel Tupou if you think he's going to go massive? Yeah, 100%.
Tell you what, I'd be looking at Timoko, but obviously he's on the bye. But I am worried that he's going to get rested around 27. So got the Panthers, then West Tigers. Definitely not a guy to buy this week or probably next. So if you missed out on Timoko a couple of weeks ago, I definitely would be fading him. Now, we talked about Rocks and Diamonds. You even broke the analytical breakdown. Ronnie Mulatalo against my woeful Gold Coast Titans. Is there love for him at Sharky Park, I believe?
I'm going to say 100% always. Anytime you're playing the Titans, the refs will manage to help the opponents win something. Or the trainers will help them win. Is it too soon? Too soon?
Too soon.
But yeah, look. He probably will go massive against the Titans this week. But my question is, why did you not I can't imagine anybody wanting to get him now. When they could have played St. George last week and the Bunnies the week before. If you haven't got him, you're not getting him now. But he'll go big this week. Just remember, he's on the bye next week. If you've got Nico Hines, you could run into maybe not enough players. And then they finish on the Bulldog. Oh, sorry, Newcastle and then Bulldogs. So,
Yep.
it could be one big score and then two low scores. It could be two big scores or one low score. Yeah. So, no, probably don't do it now.
And there's another guy, Chris, and we talked about rocks and diamonds, and I'm looking at his average scores, and he's looking pretty rock and diamond-y, and it's Tane Tuapiki. He's managed to hold his spot after the Warriors' loss. Obviously, not with Tamari Martin getting injured mid-game. Starting at fullback, Warriors' backline still looks bloody juicy, and the halves combination of Tanner Boyd and who did I give you an absolute dime to? What's his name again?
Tamari Martin.
Martin, absolute dime. So, listeners, I just thought Dave Fafita, he's coming back. I got a vibe, and the vibe was wrong. I was like, I'll give you Tamari Martin, and you give me Dave Fafita. And Chris is like, 100%.
Chanel. No, it was Chanel Harris.
Oh, sorry,
Harris
Chanel Harris.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Chanel Harris Tavita. Yeah, absolute. He's been my Mr. Consistent. I actually had Blaze Lung at the start of the year, might I add too. Anyway, yeah, did the trade, and then all of a sudden Dave Fafita and Des Hasler decided to have an internal biff, and then hurt his ankle again. So no Dave Fafita, and I just gave you a free player. So
so good. The best part was, hey, you weren't saying, but hey, before the trade happened, you were so excited. You were like,
man.
You're like, oh, Chris is an idiot. He's, and I was like, dude, I've held Fafita for the whole year. He's been so bad. He's so annoying. I'm so sick of him. I was so happy to offload him. Yeah.
And just, it was the one position of weakness. Like, if I had like a decent 1-2 RF, I'd be like, yeah, sweet. But like Hosking and bloody Teague Wilton, like they're just mid. Like I needed someone a bit of upside. And Dave Fafita, you better pop off next year, mate. I tell you what, you better pop off. So, is there any other players you want to talk about, Chris?
Yeah, my second favorite boy behind Drinky, Tommy Turbo. I don't know. I did these notes last night, but I think he's the number one most traded in the top 1%.
Yeah, wow.
This week, he's 631k, and I think that people are either sick of Drinky or they're looking to move Edwards on now that Penrith are running to a harder draw. I think he has a good. I don't know, Ryan. I'm not sure I'm convinced with Tommy. My concern is that he just doesn't seem to have the lateral quickness or the strength to drag himself across the try line when he's sweeping from 10 meters out. And instead, I think he's being bundled up into touch by the defenders. And I guess that you could look at it optimistically because last week, he got himself in some really good and dangerous positions during the sweeps. And I guess if you're optimistic, glass half full, you'd go, hey, he's just inches from scoring. I know he's in your team, Ryan, but what are your thoughts on him? When you're watching him play, are you going, oh, fucking hell? Or are you like, bro, you guys are so lucky. You guys are so lucky he didn't score. I could be, I'm like, if he was going off, I'd be winning 50K this year.
Yeah. I am terrified of not owning Tom Trbojevic, but I am the lucky 10% who does own Tom Trbojevic when he's at centre, and obviously he's been shifted back to fullback. Actually, low-key thought Cooler might have got a sniff at fullback. I just think he's just absolutely a weapon of a player, and I was actually hoping he was going to get there because I was going to trade him in this week. But back to Turbo. I think if the Manly Seagulls had a slightly better go forward, and maybe with our boy, my 10th boy of the podcast, Jazz Tovanga, gets a roll on for them in the lock position instead of Gerbo. I think it's just the forwards. The forwards aren't going forward enough to get Tom Turbo on the front foot, if that makes sense. Obviously, Cherry Evans has lost a bit of form, but again, he's still got that pedigree of being a good player. And I think with Lee High back, there's more strike out wide. Another week of Turbo getting reps, getting some legs underneath him again, more confidence. I think it's more confidence is the biggest thing. I'm just terrified of not owning him. And again, if we look at the draw right now, West Tigers, good matchup. Dolphin, great matchup. Dragons, that's 50-50. And Warriors, 50-50. So Yeah, very desirable, cheap as all hell, has the upside of getting 150 potentially, and his floor's not too bad. Like, he's got a pretty good work rate. Yeah, he's probably not breaking as many tackles as he was in previous seasons, but yeah, his floor's still 50 points. So yeah, if you get 50 points, you're happy with that, especially for a non-goal kicking fullback.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, look, since that 123 against the Bunnies, he's scored 74, 76, 56, 55. Like, and that's against Melbourne, Dogs, Roosters, Raiders. These are all strong defensive teams. And as you said, their draw looks good. I'd actually argue that the Warriors game is also a really good game for them because they've been leaking points. They've just absolutely decimated. Now they're originally they were talking about, finishing top 4 strong, and now they're just trying to hold on to 5th, really, yeah. Like, do you think that? I think the issue for me as well, in addition to me saying, hey, I don't think he has that, that strength that he would to bustle over that try line. Manly just playing shit as well.
Yes, definitely.
Like, do you think that Manly have to play well for him to score well?
I think it just comes down to the forward pack, mate. I think, like, if the forward pack's going well, DCE plays better, which means he gets better ball. That's literally what it comes down to. So Paseka, I believe, might be coming back in round 25, 26, potentially, if Manly are a hunt for the top 8. So that could be something to be noteworthy as well, because obviously he was so destructive at the start of the year, and obviously for the Tri-Nations Cup that they had. So yeah, I think it's just the forward pack, man. I think that solves a lot of issues for Manly. And I know Randall, he always gets so frustrated watching them because, as we saw last week, they had such a red hot start. They started really, really well. Turbo and Saab were supporting off that kick. Bang, Turbo scored. I was yahooing. Adam was on the chat saying, "I have to buy Turbo." Instantly jinxed him. Yeah. Well, I actually think I jinxed everyone because I said, yes, Turbo pod, and then he did absolutely nothing after that. I actually think I might be cursed, eh? Like, I'm not even kidding. It's actually getting bad.
You've had the touch, absolute touch. The last few weeks, you just, what was it? A few weeks ago when Reece Walsh was doing, after 30 minutes doing trash, he said, you just wrote, he's doing trash. He's a trash buy. Next minute, 149.
Yeah, literally. All right, who do I need? So I'm looking at my team quick. I'm going, let's go Turbo. Let's chuck it on Turbo. Turbo, you're going to do trash this week. I'm chucking the captaincy on you. So we will see.
Okay, well, good to know, really. And Jake Trbojevic, who's out of that pack, so any pack without Jake Trbojevic. Sorry, I love you. I think you're the second smartest man in NRL in footy behind Cooper Cronk, but I just don't think he's a first rate or an NRL quality starting 13 anymore. Yeah, so hopefully Turbo does well. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Now I also want to talk about the fraud, my nemesis, Nicho Hynes. So, as you mentioned previously with Sam Walker, they got the bye next week, correct? The Sharkies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Would you, obviously, they got a very good matchup this week against the Titans. After this week, would you sell Hynes?
As I said earlier in the podcast, a lot of people are going to think about it, and I wouldn't. If you've got, like, originally, I was going to say, if you don't have the trades, don't do it. Out of everything we're talking about, listeners, at the end of the day, the number one rule is if you have 17 or 18 warm bodies, probably and you've got only 2 trades left, try to hold them because they're going to be carnage in round 26 and round 27. But in many ways, I would say, if possible, I would trade him. I think Sam Walker is just a way better player, really, if possible. Nicho's really disappointing. I think he's a really good VC option this week, but I don't think you can put a C on him. I think last 2 weeks he's started really, really well, had a try assist and a line break assist real early in the game, and then second half he's just gone missing and he hasn't touched the ball at all. And Trindle's touched the ball. Like, remember a few weeks ago when he did that big, was it 139 or whatever it is, and I tricked you into I convinced you into buying him, and I was saying, look, he's demanding the ball. He's sweeping. He's getting angry at Jaden
Yeah,
Brayley when he's not. Is it Jaden Brayley? Blake Brayley when he's not getting the
Braley.
ball.
Braley.
Look, that words in my mouth because it's completely been the opposite. Like
Yeah,
that, it was like a one-off that week, and so he's really pissing me off too. And I'll just tell you my plans. I'm seriously considering trading Drinky out this week without the goal kicking to Tommy Turbo. That gives me an extra 70k, and then that allows me next week to move Nico on to Sammy Walker. Admittedly, then I'm done for the rest of the season. But I think it's a better team than the current team that I'm in. Yeah.
yeah. So Asako is just your rocks and diamonds. You're gonna just pray.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm just gonna hope that he plays so poorly that he gets dropped or something like that. I know.
He ain't getting dropped, mate. He's pretty good. He's pretty good when healthy. I think he's just a bit injured. Yeah, it's interesting to note. I think we're also disrespecting the Dragon Slayer. His name is Clint Gutherson, the Gutherino. Ever since we've been sledging him on this podcast, since we dropped him like 3 months ago, he's actually done pretty good. And again, last week in draft, I had him and I decided to play Cobbo. Poor decision because he got like 94 or something. Is there love for Gutho? There and more importantly, I realize number 22 on the Dragons bench. Guess who's back?
The money man.
The money man's back, baby. And I reckon he's going to play this week. So he played last week in New South Wales Cup. Didn't do a hammy. I'm touching wood, everything again. Yeah, I reckon Money Man's back this week. And if Money Man's in, my boy Gutherino, I reckon he's going to pop off. What are your thoughts?
Look, right, I haven't thought about your boy Gufferino at all since like round 12, if I'm being perfectly honest. Why don't you enlighten me with the stats and tell me why he shouldn't be retiring?
Okay, so let's have a look what they're playing. They're playing the Warriors, okay, and they're playing at Go Media. Not the most ideal, obviously, playing in New Zealand. But as you just mentioned, New Zealand have been leaking points. You got Charn Nichols Clockstead defending at centre, so this is only his second game of the year. But if we're just having a look at his average for the year, he's done very well. He's averaged 70. He got a 61 3-round average. But at 550k, it could significantly free up some cash for a guy like your Sam Walker or a guy like Daniel Tupou. Because if we look at their draw, it's New Zealand, South Sydney, Manly, and a potentially heavily rested Panthers team in round 27 if they've locked at the top 4. That sounds pretty bloody juicy, and I think the Dragons are going to finish strong. And if Money Man is back and he's healthy, he could be getting 130 again, averaging.
So you think that he is the third fullback for the run home behind Edwards and Teddy?
Yep.
And Turbo?
Yep.
Where would you put him?
He's fourth string,
Okay, he's fourth then.
But due to his price, he could be worth more for your team.
Yep.
Very team dependent. Like if you want to get rid of a guy who's like 500k and all of a sudden you can save $250,000, bang, there's your Sam Walker trade as an example, or bang, there's your Payne Haas trade. He definitely could facilitate, and he's pretty consistent. And again, he's versed some pretty hard teams in recent weeks, and he's actually delivered. So I think with the money man back, it's always good juju. And again, with South Sydney, Warriors, Manly, and a potentially very heavily rested Panthers team, which I probably think they'll rest anyway because I think they're going to secure top 4 by then. That's a pretty bloody juicy lineup.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're basically saying, hey, in a vacuum by himself, no. But if it means that you get somebody else really good, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
Look, do you know what? I can get behind your reasoning. I would argue that just don't do it this week. Like as in, I think you want to watch him. Like as in, like against New Zealand at Go Media Stand. That's a hard one. Even though they could leak points, massive, and it's always wet. And I would say that if he goes big, then you can get him next week because they're playing Souths. And And I think, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, but I would say, wait, yeah, but I'm not going to go, no, yeah. And thanks to you, I now have to reset my last time I thought about Gutho counter back to 0.
But he's just pure vibes. And I think the caveat is if Tuapolotu's there, get him in. If he's not there, you wait a week and get him the week after. That's for sure. I just got a feeling, the feeling it's
Yeah.
coming, it's vibing. That's the vibe. If Tui's there with him, lock him in. If he's not, you wait a week. And again, Auckland could be very, very wet. If you got any Dolphins, I'm just having a look at the fullbacks here. If you got Hammer, why is it 728K? Get off. Get off. I'm just having a quick look at the fullback. Just get off.
That's listeners. That's the strong statistical analysis that they come from. Why is it 700K? Get out.
It's trash. The Dolphins are done. They're done. Yeah, KO weeks, 16 points, or you can get 170 points, and it's on the buy. So yeah, definitely. I'd probably be selling KO weeks, to be honest. Maybe it could be a sideways trade KO weeks to Clint Gutherson. That could be your play for those type of people. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Chris? And then before we get into captaincy?
I probably just quickly want to talk about Bo Thermal as well. And that's only because there's going to be a lot of teams who are looking to trade Nikora this week, or people who have Herbie, Hosking, Nikora, especially people a bit worried about Hosking not playing this week and then next week maybe starting to lose minutes when Matty Nicholson comes back. He's the number two most traded in the top 1%. And I actually think that if you're looking to trade somebody out specifically, like trading Nikora out, I think he probably actually is the best buy at this rate, just because of that dual 2RF CT dub. If you rotate him along with Kane Bradley, who most people have as well, you can play Thermal in CT dub or 2RF in any given week. So for example, this week, it would be amazing if you could play him in your 2RF. And as I said last week, he can jag a try at any time, and he duly did that against the Souths last week. And, he's got a pretty good draw. Actually, I think Titans have a pretty good draw on the way home, especially Tigers, Dolphins, and New Zealand.
Yeah. Fermor, I think if you haven't got Bradley in center wing or vice versa, where you can get both of them with the switch, I wouldn't do it. So, for example, in my team, I'd have to trade Herbie for him, which is possible. But, man, the Titans are they're not it. Not it. He did look a lot better in person last week, obviously, as a Titans member. The eye test, I think it's also another important thing, not just looking at the analytics. He looked a lot more damaging, but just not vibing it. Not feeling it. I'd just be avoiding the Titans, eh? Like, I love them. Obviously got JC and AJ. They could potentially pop off, but I think there's more upside players out there. And I know second row is looking pretty desolate at the moment, particularly with the Canberra boys this week. But I would be doing my best to look elsewhere, personally.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and then another one as well. Last week we didn't get many things right, Ryan. You and I on the podcast, like we said a few bad things, really. Sorry for everybody who bought Dane Gagai for his 42. But one thing you were right about, Ryan, was buying Payne House. Like I was a bit like, I'm ambivalent on it, and I kind of denied, but you were just downright going, mate, get him in. He's gonna, because he's got 83 last week, and there's a lot of players a lot of SuperCoach players who tried to kind of fade him a little bit, but he's now the number 3 most bought in the top 1%. And that 83 is forced pretty much all non-owners to take note, really.
Yeah.
Hopefully Jags will try this week and he just absolutely dominates that decimated.
Well, mate, think about the team that they were fielding with Cobbo, Mam, and Renault all injured, particularly Mam and Renault not giving him the ball, and he's still got 83 points. Everything I said last week, go back, watch the reels, boys and girls, part 1, part 2 on all your socials, okay? And I provided a pretty compelling argument on why to get him, and I like being right. So take that, Adam.
Hey, do you like Cam Munster as well?
I do like him, Munster, and I like him in my team. He's been pretty mid, but he absolutely popped off last week. So,
yeah.
What about Wishart? Any love for Wishart?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Yes, in draft, he could go big, but nah, not at this stage.
Oh, I
I
tell you
think
what.
everything. What?
So in draft last year, I got to the grand final. Standard tackles and tinnies host. So I got to the grand final in draft, and I think it was Randall and I versing each other in the grand final. I was like, okay, decimation everywhere. And then I saw Tyrone Wishart getting picked at hooker, and I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to put it in my heart. I need something. And he got like 150 points in round 27. I was like, as soon as he got it, I'm like, I won. Cash league, give me the money, man. Yeah, absolutely. I'll always appreciate Wishart. So we'll give you a shout, especially with the 5'8" halfback duel. Especially, he's so cheap, man. Like, he could be another guy who could instantly free you up to a gun somewhere. He could get you that Blake Brayley hooker position. He could get you that Payne Haas from a mediocre front rower. Like, he definitely could be an option as a 5'8" or halfback too for you.
Yeah, well, actually, Wishy was amazing last year. I must admit. I mean, what was he like? It was like 450K, and then
Crazy.
Cam Munster was out for most of the year, and he was just averaging 60, 70 or whatever it is until Munster came back. So no, he was really good. He did an absolute job. But I just feel like when he's the 7, and I just feel like it's Munster's team. It was just what really just since Hughes has gone down, what's really taken me back was just how frequently he's now touching the ball.
Munster.
Yeah. Like whether he's running it, he takes all the fifth tackle kick options. He's kicking it to Xavier Coates, which is pretty much a try assist cheat code, an automatic 12 points. Yeah, and as a result, I think Wishy just doesn't touch the ball as much, and so. But I mean, he did score that good try last week, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I actually really like that try. That was sweet. Yeah.
Do you talking about Storm and Xavier Coates? Do you have love for him at all, like a Herbie Farnworth to Xavier Coates?
Or nah, I just think their draw is really really hard. What is it? It's Penrith Bulldogs, Roosters, and then Broncos.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, hey.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing. Like he's one of Craig's favorites. Like he got rested a few times, after every single Origin because they worry about his hamstring. And if you remember that one time, was it against the Tigers when like they absolutely demolished the Tigers and Paps went for like was it 189 whatever it is. Like I think Xavier Coates scored like 140 and he
popped
early.
off too. That left wing.
Yeah,
I don't think he scored, man. I think he got one try.
Oh, was it? There's a round where he scored 140 and he's like gone to the bench early, and I was like, I've never seen this as a winger going off early, hitting the showers early. So I was just like, nah, this guy's at rotation risk for sure.
Really. Yeah, no,
but really, it's just the fact that he's very rocks and diamondsy, and I think there's better rocks and diamonds players, to take a chance on with more favourable draws where he could go big. Yeah.
All right, Chris, let's talk about captaincy options. So I'll quickly run through the players of interest along with their teams. So Panthers, Melbourne. So you obviously got a Cleary or a Munster. Warriors, Dragons, probably haven't really got anyone too desirable there. You can maybe potentially a VC on Gutho or potential. Just have to say it. Just have to say it. And then we had the Roosters. Obviously, got your Sammy Walker, Tedesco against your Bulldogs. Probably not anyone too relevant in the Bulldogs, to be honest. Sharkies, Titans. So obviously, you got your Nico Hines, and Titans, you got Jaden Campbell. Broncos, you got Reece Walsh there against the Dolphins. Probably no one there. Trade Hammer. South Sydney versus Parramatta. So Latrell Mitchell's still at centre, so probably not liking anyone there. Mitchell Moses hasn't been doing too much. Zach Lomax has been an absolute disappointment for the past 2 weeks. I know people have been captaining him. West Tigers, Manly. So you probably got like your Terrell May, maybe Adam Dewey, Smokey. Manly, obviously got Turbo there as well. And North Queensland, Drinkwater's always an option there. Tom Dearden's obviously proven that he can pop off. And Newcastle, I just would not be touching them with a 10-foot pole. Going off those players, or might have missed a couple there, and matchups, Chris, who are you thinking and why?
Look, I think you've done a really good job in terms of pretty much identifying everybody who might be worthwhile captaining. Really, the tasty matchups this week are Sharks versus Titans, and that's the most tasty matchup, really. To be honest, I think that Nico is a really good VC option. I just don't think I just can't. I think we were just disappointed by the number of times we've captained him. He's just been shit, Ryan. You and I think I'm just gun shy.
I can't do it. Even against the Titans, bro, I can't do it. I just did swap them in just in case I do a last minute VC, but yeah, I just can't do it, man. He just burnt me so many times, and I think he's just a 80-point player. There's nothing wrong with it. That's a good player, but I think he's just lost the upside of 120. So
yeah. One player that I'm thinking about actually VCing, and I probably will VC him, is actually just Teddy, because of the fact that he's just come off 189. And I think you've got to put some respect on that. And I had a look back at his past scores in the last 2 years, and I found that when he scores a century, they often come in pairs. So after he scores one, he'll score a subsequent a century. I think he's even had a few where he's actually just scored 3 in a row. And that was mostly last year when, him and Manu and, Joey Manu and everybody, they were all going off, that whole back line, and also Angus Crichton. I think he might be the best VC.
Even against the Dogs, because I'm looking at his score now from round 16 in 2024. He got 84 points. And then round 11 against the Dogs in 2025, he got 70 points.
Yep.
And Dogs are better this year.
Yeah. Well, basically, this, I'm just basing on it. It's just more of a vibe more than anything, and just based on the numbers in the past, last week it didn't matter to me because he wasn't even on my radar to as an armband option. Really, it's just that if you VC Nico, right, because nobody's brave enough to see him, then you're kind of stuck really with afterwards. You're stuck with Payne Haas, Lomax, Turbo. Turbo is actually not a bad captain against the Tigers, so long as it's not raining. And then drinking, that's indeed, and both of them are no-goes. So therefore, I think that nobody looks really good if you VC Nico as well. That's what I'm kind of thinking about, really. So therefore, I don't know. Yeah.
Mate, I tell you what.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nico's done. He's out. I'm actually going to go Reece Walsh against the Finns as the VC. I like that matchup at Suncorp. I think he's just going to be red hot. I think it's meant to be pretty dry in Brisbane as well, which is good. And then I'm actually going to C on Tom Trbojevic.
Okay.
I'm doing it. I think he's ready. I think it's time. Desirable matchup against the West Tigers. Yeah, burnt too many times with Nico. Jaden Campbell burnt me last week. Well, almost burnt me. Like I did the VC loop. I think that's it. And I'm just worried about the Bulldogs, man. Like I gave the Warriors a lot of credit last week in regards to I think they're going to be competitive. I think the Bulldogs might struggle here. And they just absolutely blew them out of the park. And I feel like they're going to do the exact same thing to the Roosters.
Yep, fine. Yeah, well, okay then. Well, what I'll probably do this week, as I said earlier, I'll probably trade Drinky to Turbo.
Jump on, mate.
On the Turbo train for the third time this year. And then VC Nico, and we'll see Turbo. Yeah.
Get on with me, mate. Let's ride it together on the Turbo train. I like it. All right, Chris. I think that's been very insightful. Thank you for the therapy session about Tamare Martin and reminding me about my poor trade decision with the Dave Fafita one in draft. But tackles and tinnies, it's been a vibe. Round 24, head-to-head final or head-to-head semi-finals are here officially. Obviously, we want you guys winning, and I hope our advice, particularly the vice captains and the captaincy options, I think that's what's differentiating a lot of people now. Like, that's literally going to be the make or break. So, best of luck with that. Obviously, you know where to find us. We're on all listening platforms and all social media platforms. The engagement's been picking up, which is really, really good. We want to hear about your trades and discussion points too. Some slander about the Gold Coast Times when I said Jaden Campbell last week with the contract negotiations and the referee situation. Oh, that was interesting reads on TikTok. But yeah, we love to read it, guys. So again, the more engagement, the better for us. And yeah, as a school teacher, I love reading everything. So yeah, send it on through. Chris, any last word, mate?
Nah, not really. Turbo train, choo choo.
All aboard. Choo choo. Thanks, Tackles and Tinnies. Enjoy your week.